Hey guys, ahoy, Buccaneers, Buckaholics, and Scallywags, and welcome to another episode of the Plunder, where tonight is actually a special episode because it's the kickoff to the NFL season this evening, and we're going to talk about the Buccaneers and the Commanders game. We've got a couple of other topics, and we've got a special guest coming on. I want to let everybody know that this is going to be a fun show. This is the beginning of a long-awaited offseason to end. And for us to get into the NFL season 2024, let's get it.
Let's go.
All hands, hoist the colors high. Heave ho, thieves and beggars, never shall we die.
Welcome aboard the Blackbird. I got a job to do.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to first off thank my executive producer and partial co-host. He's in and out right now, but BucDad, thank you for all your support, man. I appreciate it. Once again, much love to you and everything you do for this show. Well, let's get into this Sunday's game,
man.
guys. Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Let's get into this Sunday's game. What we've got going on is the first game of the season where the Washington Commanders are traveling to Tampa, and they're taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's going to be a 4:25 Eastern kickoff time on that game. The quarterback for Washington is a rookie out of LSU, Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels, in my opinion, is probably, and for me personally, the short stick, I think he's better right now, but I think the best QB in the draft from this past year was Drake May. I think he's going Drake May and is probably going to be, in my opinion, the best long-term quarterback if they put the right system around him. I really like him as a QB, but Jaden Daniels is my number 2 quarterback coming out of college. I have him above Caleb Williams as a draft pick without a question. I do have Caleb Williams because I think he's good now, but if you don't put – I think he's kind of like the Jameis Winston type. But for the Washington Commanders, they've got a lot of additions this offseason. They added Austin Eckler. That's a big time ad because you got Brian Robinson Jr. over there in Washington playing for the Commanders. They also added Dan Quinn as the head coach, Zach Ertz, Frankie Louvu, who the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are familiar with. We faced him 2 times a year for the last few years. He played for the Carolina Panthers. Tyler Badias, I think I'm pronouncing his name right, and Jeremy Chin also came over from the Carolina Panthers this offseason. And they've got Scary Terry at wide receiver, and that cat's a pretty awesome wide receiver. He's probably in the top 10 without a question as far as wideouts. And Austin Eckler, he's on the bottom half of his career, but they didn't get rid of him in LA, at the Chargers. That being said, it was noted. I watched an interview with him. He wanted out. He didn't feel like they were using him right. So he requested to be out, so he left. And Brian Robinson Jr. is a young back who's in his, I want to say, 3rd, 4th, or 5th year in the league. It might be 4th year in the league, but he's a pretty solid back. He's probably in that mid-range level of running backs. On the other side of the ball for them, Jeremy Chin is a huge addition to that defense, and that's going to help because they actually were ranked at the bottom portion of the league last year against the run. Daron Payne, Jonathan Allen. They added Bobby Wagner, Benjamin St. Juste, as well as Jeremy Chin, like I said a few moments ago. But let me pull out my notes here that I've got because I want to be accurate. Yes, their rush defense actually gave up 126.8 yards per game last year on average. Now, we can't obviously expect for the teams to collaborate like they did last year, but from year to year, you got to expect a transition to a degree, whether it's good or bad. But on the other hand, you got to give it time. So for the first few weeks, it's gonna take a little time. Keys to the game, Misador says, contain Jaden Daniels is by far the highest ceiling. And look, hey, and I'll as soon as you're here in just a few minutes, I'll actually tell you why I believe that's right, and I believe the Buccaneers are going to capitalize on that. Because my predictions, and look, Yaya's coming back. If you ain't been keeping up with everything, Yaya's coming back. He's been out there at practice. Look, when he got injured, he kind of vanished. He was seen once or twice, but he's always been seen around the facility, around the practices, and on the sidelines during the games. But in the end, you didn't see him do anything. So when he came out this week, he came out full force and ready to play, and that was a huge sign for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, we discussed last week, BucDad, how I believe he's kind of going to be on a kind of like a pitch count. He's going to be able to play count this week, because you don't want to overwork that ankle injury. Ankle injuries are something that drag out. So the more rest you can give him sooner. So high values of success on the defense are going to help aid his recovery, because that's going to help being in rotation. Now, speaking of rotation, Logan Hall out. The Ernest Brown, he has actually been put on the IR, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers actually signed a guy today. Let me pull that up. I can't remember his name. He's actually Where's it at? I don't see it. I posted it on Facebook. But we actually signed a guy to help with the rotation. Will Golston is probably going to get the start Sunday. But BucDad, what are your thoughts on Jaden Daniels and that offense over there in Washington? Volume.
Thank you.
There you go.
My concern with the whole thing, man, is our history with rookie quarterbacks, man. Like, we tend to give up the booty when we got to, when we're facing a rookie quarterback. So I agree with me.
I agree.
The ceiling is where Jaden Daniels is going to go, bro. And our secondary better be ready.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. And the reason why I believe, we got to think about this particular game. This game is the most prepared for game of every game in the year. But at the same time, the players are the least prepared for the game, if that makes sense. Am I right on that? You agree with that?
I agree.
All right. So from that perspective, what you're going to do, him being this early in his career, my thoughts are, a guy being this early in his career, coming into the NFL, he played pretty well in the preseason at the same time. I went back and watched every play he was on the field in the preseason. And I watched him, following college football quite a few times, because LSU is on, we live in the Southeast, and LSU is always on TV. So I'm
Speaking of college football, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, we can talk about it. What we got to talk about?
How you feeling after Monday night? I gotta check. I'm sorry. I'm over here hitting the microphone and shit.
You did that on camera. You could have did that first in private.
Yeah. Hey, but
Now, honestly, here's my real effort.
I'm checking in on a friend here after FSU's 0-2 start.
If you go before last year, the previous 5 years, that got me used to the beginning of this year. Now, does it still wear me down? Absolutely. But what I got to say about this is we paid the wrong damn quarterback.
Yeah, y'all did. Hey,
now,
so
we were holding out. The real scoop is Florida State was holding out for Cam Ward, who ended up going to Miami. And let me tell you what, if anything's a precursor to what's to come, Miami looks like the ACC champ, clear and beyond. Like every other team that you would think is going to compete for the ACC title, is down.
Bro,
So, I mean, technically, the conference is wide open still.
I'm not a U fan. I'm not a Gator fan. I'm not an FSU fan. But Cam Moore is fucking clean.
Dude, I watched the second half of that game. Wow, this kid is going to be a star. I believe he's Heisman potential this year. Like, he could be in the running for the Heisman easily this year. And look, Mario Cristobal is definitely one of those guys that you don't put a bunch of weight into. You know, I didn't put a bunch of weight into him. You know, the same weight I put into, Mike Norvell the first couple of years he was here. You know, but Mario Cristobal has never succeeded. At the same time, he's also improved the Miami Hurricanes roster. But as far as Florida State goes, there was one thing that was very...
guest for you.
Oh, you do?
And it's not the one that we have in the script
Oh, you got a special guest. Well, go ahead and add him on.
Let go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm real special. Real special.
Hey, brother. How you doing, man?
I am great. You know, I don't know about y'all, but I be on the Twitter streets, and I be in NFL Twitter. Uh-huh. And guess what I was told Tuesday by some Hog fans.
Oh, let me hear.
Hog fans. You know our opponents week 1?
Yeah.
I was told that Jaden Daniels is Black Jesus.
Oh.
So, come this damn Sunday, before all the logical, analytical shit, we gonna kill that motherfucker. We gonna kill that motherfucker.
We better get after him, bro, because if not, it's gonna be a long ass day.
Wednesday, I hope all the goddamn Hawk fans is right there for his resurrection.
You know, here, I tell you what, this is my perspective on it. Jaden Daniels is going to be a long-time starter in the league, in my opinion. Now, back that up.
It could be.
Back that up to his first game. You know, you got to understand how our defense is. And look, our offense, based on everything that we've seen, is changing. It's evolving. It's a clear signal that the offense is moving in a different direction by the things that we've seen. Our defense is the same. And what do we know about our defense is Todd Bowles is one of the top defensive play callers in the league as far as calling pressure plays, blitzing plays, whether it be your man-on-man and shoot them in the gaps, or you got zone blitzes and you got some of these linebackers and edge rushers coming in and putting pressure on. Jaden Daniels, because of the lack of familiarity with the whole thing, and he's only played, 15 or 30 snaps in the league so far, and that's not a count, I'm just throwing out a number, he's going to fall back to breaking out of that pocket, bro, and the Buccaneers are going to continuously apply pressure. I literally have them for 5 sacks.
Hey, Derek, real quick. We were talking before the show how nasty it was in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Clear as a motherfucking whistle out there now.
Sounds like Florida weather.
I was saying that shit look legit like Florida.
That sounds like Florida weather to me. What you think about how do you think their defense is going to be compared to what they were last year, Sid? Washington.
The strong suit of the Washington Commanders is the D-line. It's not as formidable as it once was, but It's their best unit.
You know, I agree. They got Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne.
Yep.
They had Chase Young until they got rid of him last year. But adding Jeremy Chin, who was definitely a huge addition at safety for them, but he's also a huge addition in the rush defense. Because he's pretty good defensive back as far as the run goes. So I expect them to challenge the Buccaneers, but I also got Rachaad White popping off in game 1. So that's
Eric,
me.
You do realize that we burnt the shit out of Jeremy Chin every time we seen him, right?
I didn't say he was good in pass protection. I say he was good in rush defense.
No,
And he was.
just talking.
I mean, you could also take the claim that our rush defense was that bad.
That too. But
Hey guys, well, real quick, excuse me, Sid. I don't want to hold this guy off because and look, you said you ain't got to go nowhere. Please don't mind us. But I want to bring on a special guest. He is a friend of the show. He is actually a guy I've followed for a long time. He is a guy who is a man about he's a sportsman about Tampa Bay. He is known as the Rolex Reporter. He is the executive producer and co-host of the JP Peterson Show and the host of the Sports Rep, Mr. Peter Blake. Come on in, Mr. Peter Blake. How you doing tonight, brother?
What's going on, guys? How you doing? I watch your stuff too. You guys do great stuff there, great content when it comes to the Bucks, and I also watch your wrestling stuff.
Appreciate it, my man.
Yeah, absolutely. We have our own show called Turnbuckle Talk on Wednesday night at 10:30. So we talk wrestling. You guys talk wrestling, but all eyes right now in the Tampa Bay area are on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Washington Commanders. Happy football season, guys. How you doing?
Dude, let me tell you what,
it's
Peter.
time.
Peter, this is look. It's just like we're all giddy. Like I saw it on TV. If you remember, like being that high school kid, and this is your senior year, and you're so stoked to be an adult and go to work and make money and party and do all this stuff, that the first day of school you're like, oh man, I'm so ready. This is the feeling that we all have as football goonies.
I know how you feel because I've been watching the Tampa Bay Buccaneers since I was 8 years old. My dad sat me down. I discovered football, and I've been corrupted ever since. And I'm ready. I'm ready for the season. I'm like Todd Bowles.
It's exciting!
It is exciting. It's exciting here to be on the Plunder with you guys. So,
damn. I need.
Hey, listen. I caught a tweet by Greg Allman today.
mm-hmm.
And I wanted to bring it out because, look, we're all talking how this offense has blown up, right? And we feel it. We've seen it. I mean, it's been in spurts, but you see the change in what was to what is going to be. Now, we know Chris Godwin, and if you know football and on offense specifically, those slot receivers, those interior receivers, if they're good, they get fed the ball. Because that is the weakest part of the field, because you've got that guaranteed bona fide sideline to help those outside defenders, protect and defend the ball on the pass. So that being said, he says, and he put out this tweet, says Mike Evans has played well against the Washington Commanders in his career. 4 touchdowns in 5 games, had 7 for 209 and 2 TDs as a rookie, 8 for 164 and a TD in 2015, 6 for 119 yards in the 2020 playoffs, and a 40-yard TD in the loss in the 2021 game. And all of that combined is really good numbers if you're talking 5 games. So, Cedric and Peter, I want your perspective going into this game. What's your game plan on offense?
Said, you want to go first or do I go first here?
Hey, I'm going to tell you like this. Washington ain't got no cornerbacks. Air it out.
Yeah, St. Juste is probably a lower mid-level cornerback, in my opinion. I'd say he's between the 33rd and the 64th position rank as far as, cornerbacks.
But put Godwin back into his natural position of the slot and go to work, baby. Go to work.
Yeah, and I tend to agree with you. I think that's the matchup that you exposed, gentlemen, because you're exactly right. I mean, what do you have in that back end if you're the Commanders? And you look at the plethora of weapons that you have with an Evans, a Godwin being put back into his natural position and how he can work in that Liam Cohen offense. And then furthermore, the unknown, but what we've seen out of training camp, what we've seen in preseason games and a Jalen McMillan, you got to be excited about it. I'm curious to see here because this Bucs team seems like in the offseason and training camp, they're all about the physicality. They're all about the point of attack there from that offensive line. What's Graham Barton do in that interior line versus a matchup that will be a tough one, right? Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, That's the kind of matchup I'm looking at, and I would like to see them be able to run the ball 15 to 20 times with White. You open up that play action, and then you can have those big plays down the field, especially the middle of the field with a K. Dotton and the aforementioned Godwin.
You know, I can't argue against either one of your analysis is right there, because, you know, the number one thing you go into when you make, you know, and I play Madden, and this is on a video game level, but I've played football and I've been in it with football. I've taught kids how to play football. And I understand the concepts of the offense and the concepts of the defense and how they work. So when I'm looking at this matchup and looking at what we're just talking about, like, you got to go with it, just like a quarterback. They tell a quarterback, take what they give you. I don't care if it's the least amount or the furthest amount. You take what the defense gives you. And this is kind of what you're doing here when you're building a game plan. This particular defense is giving you their weakness because, like we said, you got Chin in the backfield, and we burnt Jeremy Chin a lot. You know, their linebackers are probably their biggest weakness on their team. Their front four is probably their strength. So, you know, Rachaad White and that offensive line is really going to have to work hard to get those yards in. On the other hand, shooting that ball out to Rachaad in the pass game, or Bucky Irving in the pass game, or even Sean Tucker in the pass game, which all three of our backs. But that being said, if you pay attention like goons do, like we do, then you heard Liam Cohen today. And Liam Cohen basically all but said Rachaad White is that dude. You're going to come in and spell him. He's proven he wants to be that guy. He's proven he can maintain the physical, you know, aspect of that. And I believe that the run game is what's going to help open up that floodgate in the center of the field.
And it seems like it's going to be the catalyst of this team, because that's the reason why you improved the offensive line in the first place, especially in that interior. And you saw White in that second half of the year really take off with the offensive line's improvement, if you will. On top of that, White outside of the backfield, when he can, you know, catch the ball, he can make things also happen. And I'm curious to see how they're going to combine this two-headed to three-headed monster when it comes to that running back room, with a White and, of course, a Bucky Irving and a Tucker. I think it's more of Irving for me, because he is so shifty and because he is so explosive. And if you get to that second level, he can really make some things happen.
I totally agree. Well, as far as this game goes, I mean, I you know, we've talked about Jaden Daniels, and you know, I mentioned the weapons they have over there. Who do you think is their biggest weapon on offense outside of Jaden Daniels?
I mean, of course, everybody's worried about Daniels. You got to contain him. If he gets outside of the pocket, the guy they're going to go to is McLaren, right? I mean, Terry McLaren, that's the matchup you're looking at. Is Jamel Dean going to lock on him? Is it going to be Zion McCollum? We know that he's over 1,000-yard wide receiver. He can make plays. He's explosive. You also have Austin Eckler as a running back, who will definitely give you some problems. So McLaren and Eckler are the guys you have to worry about if you're Todd Bowles' defense.
Right. All right, Sid, I got a question. As far as this week's game, what are your predictions as far as the score? Who do you think shows out? What do you see coming out of the game? How do you see it turning out?
We win by 2 possessions. If you want an exact score,
no, you ain't got to give me. You ain't got to give me an exact score if you don't want to.
I mean, like, my gut, I'm leaning to 27-13, only because I know Bowles plays that bend but don't break bullshit, which I hate.
Yeah, I know.
Hate it. But,
you know, I'm not far off. So Peter, what do you got going on for this weekend as far as the predictions for this game, as far as the outcome?
Well, you know, I'm going to say my prediction because, guys, I'm going to be out at the What the Buck tailgate there. We're going to be 2 hours before the game live, getting together with Bucks fans. So I'll give my prediction then, and I'll give my season prediction. But if you've been paying attention to the sports web, the evolution of sports talk television, I've said from the very get-go when this schedule was released, it's going to be 11-6. I believe in this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team. I'm looking forward to seeing the improvements, especially on that interior line with Graham Barton. And I think Baker Mayfield ends up being the MVP of this team because of all the weapons, the improvement of the offensive line. And guys, finally, Mayfield is in an offense. He's with an organization that has believed in him and has shown him with that $100 million contract. He's going to be comfortable. He's more mature. He just settled down, had a kid. He knows this offense. And again, the plethora of weapons with Evans and Godwin going back to the natural position and McMillan and a second year of Trey Palmer with White and Cade Otton. Oh, my goodness. Look out, NFL. You are on notice with this wide receiving core and these weapons on the outside.
Okay, I was saying, Peter, as said, man, last year he went from being a non-believer to saying, hey, he's doing his work.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of said, while you were talking, Peter, I'm not sure how familiar you are with said on video, but the way he popped his camera picture off to on mid statement for you has me wanting to go to him and see if he has something to say. Because he's done that to me a lot. So I'm curious as to what his thoughts are right now. What's up, Sid?
What's up, Sid?
Baker Mayfield, EP of this team. Explain your thought process on this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not hating the man because he earned my respect, but I just want to hear
Sure.
Baker Mayfield, MVP.
Well, MVP of this team, not the league.
Yeah.
But you can definitely, he's going to be throwing to the weapons that he has. He had 28 touchdowns last year, 10 interceptions. He knows this Liam Cohen offense, which means there won't be that transition period like there was with the Dave Canales. And then furthermore, with this offensive line being improved, and we assume, right, said that this offensive line is going to be improved, there's going to be more of a focus on that running game. So it's going to take the pressure off of Baker. It's also going to make this offense more dynamic and open up that pass play action game to where you can go down the field with an Evans, a Godwin, and of course a McMillan. So that's
now,
why
before you get on, said I want because I agree with him as far as I answered his question on his post that I believe, and I'll go ahead and throw it out there. I'm all in. I am buying the pewter Kool-Aid. I am going 14-3.
Whoa!
I am going 14-3. I've got us losing to the Ravens. I've got us losing to the who was it? The Ravens. We're splitting with Atlanta, and then there was another loss in there. I can't remember. I got it wrote down.
Francisco or Kansas City? Which one?
I think it was Frisco. Yeah, we lose to Frisco in the regular season and beat them in the playoffs.
Wow. Okay.
Now to go back to your MVP of the team.
Yeah.
I agreed with Baker Mayfield with your assessment. And the reason why, just to go ahead and retort before he goes ahead and gives his response on what you said, my reasoning is if you put Kyle Trask there, do we succeed?
No.
Okay, so in my opinion, you put Baker there. Baker's the reason why we succeed this year.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
I'm not saying these other guys, you got to give them credit. That's not my intent to pass out. But my point is that to me would elevate Baker to being that valuable to this team.
Yeah, and he showed that how valuable he was last year with the third down conversions, putting his shoulder pad down. You don't see a lot of quarterbacks do that. You see them sliding. He wants to. I get it. He's not athletically gifted like a lot of.
It was the first game of the season.
Yes, get your weight up, boy. Get your weight up against Minnesota. I mean,
I can't I want to. When I go to search for stuff for my content,
yes,
I search Baker and that's one of the first things that always comes up, and I'm like, I can't just keep putting that in there, but it's so wonderful to see when he mouths and you can hear him. Get your weight up. That's the mentality. And I knew at that moment, if we could keep him upright for the majority of the season and our offense, as far as the scheme was going to work, I felt confident at that point. I was like, okay. Because I've been a Baker fan, but just like Jameis, he wasn't surrounded by the right people in the right place for the beginning of his career. And if you're not in football, that hurts you your whole career.
And I think that's a fair assessment. I also think it's maturity, right? It's you'll live to fight another day instead of trying to force that ball into those small windows and have that critical interception. I'm not saying Baker didn't have that. He had that against the Atlanta game. You have to go to the open man instead of trying to force it. And those are the kind of decisions that you hope to alleviate with this type of quarterback. But look, he's 29 years old. I definitely think he's matured. He's this offense is going to come out running, I believe, with Cohen. He's going to have some idea. He's been able to call plays in this league. Love Dave Canales, talked to him personally, but I definitely think there was a transition point there that really hurt this offense. And I also think it was, the pressure in Baker's face. Anytime you pressure a quarterback, you force him into making those type of decisions that he doesn't want to. I feel like the offensive line with their improvement, that means that Baker in this offense will improve also.
No doubt.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, for the game this weekend, I've got the Bucs winning, and said 27-13. I've got them winning 30-13.
Okay.
I've got Baker throwing for 260 or more with 2 touchdowns, and I've got Evans and Otten as the 2 touchdowns. I've also got Rachaad White rushing for just under 100 yards and pulling in 35 yards or more in the air with carrying a touchdown. I've got 5 sacks for the defense.
Wow. 5 sacks in the defense. Okay.
That mobile quarterback is going to be caught out. Our linebackers are fast, and our line is fast. Our defense is fast. And stat of the day, the Buccaneers are the 2nd youngest team, so we're fresh. You know what I mean?
You're definitely fresh, and that's because of Jason Light and the drafting over the years here, especially the last couple of years, getting those contributions. And you look at the building blocks, and I talk about this on my show all the time, the evolution of sports television, the Sports Web, on Monday and Wednesday nights, and also before and after Bucs games live from tailgate and also on the field. The 2 building blocks are Yaya Diaby and Kalijah Kancey. Those are the guys you have to look out for. I think every Bucs fan should be excited about it. And then on top of it, Vita Vea and the weight loss there. What's the impact of that? Defensive line is going to get after it. I'm hoping that Yaya is healthy. I don't know if he's 100%, but if you watched him in training camp and all the stuff that was put out there from the multiple outlets, he was a man among boys. And number 0, he calls himself Sub-Zero. Hopefully he's freezing that quarterback out on Sunday.
Well, before we move on to the next topic, Sid, I wanted to go back to you to see if you had any response based off of your questioning towards Peter and I about Baker Mayfield being the MVP. If you thought somebody else was probably going to end up.
Y'all going to stop playing with my dog, Rachaad White. He's going to be the
Okay.
MVP.
Fair enough.
My dog.
I listen. I like White. I think I probably get your opinion here. You think he's a bell cow, and I definitely think he's a bell cow. But I also feel like, was he helped by that offensive line last year? And I think there's a lot of Bucs fans, and you would agree with this, said, that wanted him out of here, that wanted him, gone for Dalvin Cook or somebody else. And at the end of the day, it's not just your running back situation; it's also your offensive line. Your offensive line consistently has to be more effective to open up those holes, especially if you're going to run inside. And I think once that line improved to a certain degree, you could really see White hitting his stride. I also think it goes back to what Todd Bowles said last year. White's trying to dance too much. You're trying to do too much, right? You're coming in, you're trying to prove yourself, and maybe you should just hit the hole as hard as you can. And that's what he did that second half of the year. So, said, I'm definitely not sleeping on your guy, White. In fact, if anybody has an opportunity to be the MVP of this team, it's Rachaad White, because of the opportunities that he's going to get with them, again, being focused on that running game, be a catalyst of this offense. And then on top of it, what he can do out of the backfield with catching the ball and some of the plays he made last year, specifically in a must-win game versus the Green Bay Packers on the road.
Hey, and one more thing real quick.
With this sentiment, Peter?
Say again?
Do you agree with the comment? Rachaad White can go over 1,000 yards with an improved O-line?
Oh,
yeah. I was predicting 1,200 and 500, 600 passing reception yards.
I'm at 1,650 for his total. His total this year.
I like it. I like it.
I got Baker going for 45.
4,500. Okay.
How many TDs?
With this new O-line?
Probably 23, 24.
With this new O-line he got.
Because, if you look at what the word has been, not only the word, but what we've seen as far as the scheme run in the game, the run is going to be the precedent-setting staple of the offense. And then we're going to create our offense and our points off of the run. And you can see that in the system. And if not the run, the running back. The running back is very important to Liam Cohen in his system. If you go back to and he doesn't like the running back by committee kind of. You look at LA, who was the bell cow out there? It wasn't Kyrie Williams and it was what was his name?
We got Cam Akers there.
Cam Akers.
Yeah.
After Cam Akers is the guy I was thinking.
Yeah.
But
they definitely like to move their running backs around. And listen, you have to have a second or third running back because, knock on wood, injuries happen. You look at tonight, true bell cow running back, that's Derrick Henry. Yeah. But again, you got to give your running back an opportunity there. Bucky Irving, I think, will definitely be able to provide that. I think there's a lot of Bucs fans should be very excited about, what he has to offer because he does make the opposing defense miss. He doesn't go down at the first tackle. He's very shifty. And once he gets out into space, he's very shifty and can make things happen. And that's what you want to see. You want to see those type of big plays from Irving. And I think a lot of people feel like when they watch Irving on film, and again, comparisons are asinine, but Warrick Dunn, same body type, same type of, possibilities there for this offense. Yes, I don't think he's going to be Warrick Dunn, but maybe, who knows? Maybe the Bucs and Jason Light found something there in the later rounds. And I'm excited about seeing this kid. I'm excited about seeing Jalen McMillan, who most likely had no business going in that third round. And he's going to show a lot of people in the NFL that you should have picked him a little bit higher. Kind of reminds you of Chris Godwin, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly how this scenario
that was our steal of the draft.
Right.
Yeah, no doubt.
When everybody said, Godwin, well, he doesn't have the speed or the explosiveness, but what does he do consistently as a wide receiver? He catches every pass. That's the one thing you got to do as a wide receiver. Then on top of it, he's physical. He can block. And that's why the Bucs wanted to put him on the outside last year. They wanted to limit those injury opportunities with him, coming off an injury. They wanted him to be able to block in that slot, and he'll be able to do that this year also.
Step in, Sid.
Let me just point something out. Speaking of that, Godwin last year was averaging 4.9 catches and just over 60 yards per game compared to the previous 5 years. He was averaging about 5.5 catches a game with about 70 yards.
Yeah.
A huge difference in my opinion.
It's a big difference, and you got to think Miss Godwin, right? All that controversy that came out, probably a blessing in disguise, if you will, whether it was Godwin or not, because as soon as he was a part of that offense more and you put him in that natural position of playing the slot, you started to see that passing game open up, and it should definitely open up. Chris Godwin is a number one wide receiver in this league. Any other team, he would be a number one wide receiver. I always tell Bucs fans on the sports web, enjoy your time with Evans and Godwin because they are true number one wide receivers, and they're also professionals that don't have that diva mentality.
Pete, I'm sorry. If Godwin leaves us, he's going to be the next Alvin Harper. Don't do that.
I'm not ready. Come on now. I'm an old school guy. I'm not ready to say he's the next Alvin Harper. No. Come on, said.
If you're under 20, you have no clue what we're talking about.
Alvin Harper, the guy who came here and nearly got his finger cut off, the guy who had to play with Trent Dilfer and couldn't catch the hold.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. That's awful, man. I don't know about that, man. I don't see Godwin being Alvin Harper. But look, that's the danger of going after a second wide receiver and trying to make him a number one. You're really not sure. But you watch the tape, you watch the film.
Without a question.
Numbers. Godwin is a number one wide receiver in this league. And look, the Bucs will have a decision to make. And Godwin will make it hard for them because if he comes out and has the year that I feel like he can have, and this
we won't afford him. We can't afford him.
Here's the thing. Everybody says that about Jason Light. But remember, they just got rid of that Tom Brady dead money there. They may want to re-sign him. Hell, if you're Chris Godwin, why would you want to leave the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when you got Mike Evans, when you got Baker Mayfield, when you're good in an offense? I get it. The grass may be greener on the other side with getting paid more money, but you have to ask yourself, Jordan Whitehead, he went for the money. Even Jason Light admitted he's going to let him go, but Whitehead was not productive. He's not the same player with the Jets as he was with the Bucs, and I get it. He got paid more money. The same thing could be said about Chris Godwin. You love it down here. The weather's good, and if you're productive, Jason Light has shown that he takes care of his own players. So everybody's saying, Godwin, they won't be able to afford him. I've been hearing this the last couple of years, and every year, Jason Light in this organization, they find a way over there. They're Jedis, Mike Greenberg, Jacqueline Davidson, John Spytek. They find a way to get these guys to buy in. They find a way to move money around and make this cap a lot better than it looks originally. So I'm not ready to rule out if Chris Godwin has a great year for him to leave the Bucs. I'm not.
That's not a guarantee, and you gotta give credit where it's due with Light, and the job that him and Spytek and all those guys in the front office have done.
Yeah.
I actually have predicted him since the middle of last year. And then when he got moved to slot, and I'm like, yeah, it's money. He's going to have a bang out year this year. You've got, especially if we get a good wide receiver to add with Palmer and Evans. And then what did we do? We literally, in my opinion, it's a little early to say this, but right now I would call him the heir apparent to Chris Godwin. Evans is going to be here for a few more years. In McMillan, and I think McMillan is going to be that good as long as injuries don't hold him back.
Sure.
But for me, what I want to talk about now is the Bucs defense.
Okay.
As far as the Bucs defense goes, who do you think has the most to focus on this week as far as defending their territory on the Bucs defense? Do you think it's the front line, the defensive line? Do you think it's the secondary as far as the pass game goes? How do you think their game plan on offense is going to be pressured towards the defense of the Buccaneers?
If I was the Washington offense, I'd attack our cornerbacks because I think that's the weakest part of our defense.
I agree with you. I think the safeties are better. If you separate the safeties from the cornerbacks, safeties are better than the cornerbacks. The O-line, even with the injuries that we have right now, I believe is the O-line. The D-line is probably the best room on the defense. I think the linebackers are really close, and I think this year is going to be we'll get a more definite answer of where they rank as far as that conversation goes. But you got high hopes for those linebackers in the linebacker room, especially the outside. The inside for the future is what we worried about. But what we've seen out of KJ Britt, and we're not even going to have to. We don't even need to say LD's name. Just 54s. That's what we call him because that's easier. Because that's all you need to say is just 54 and leave it alone. Because he's going to do his job. He's going to be there. I don't care what you're talking about. I don't care. We're not even going to have that conversation on this show.
Yeah.
Not. Levante David is that dude.
He's been that dude. He's been that dude ever since he came into the league. He's been the face basically of this defense. He was the best linebacker last year, period. Whether Devin White was on the field or not, he made Devin White look bad. That's the reason why White is no longer with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and most likely may not be with the Philadelphia Eagles if you believe all those reports, which I do. And, KJ Britt, when he started and was their middle linebacker, that defense got a lot better, didn't it, boys? I mean, really, they got a lot better. They improved. And look, Britt is not the most athletic, but like Todd Bowles says, he's always at the right place at the right time. So I'm curious to see what he's doing. Going back to the cornerback situation, you move on from Carlton Davis because he's not able to stay on the field. You got Zion McCollum. They really like him. We'll see if that works out. And I think Jamel Dean needs to have a comeback year because you would have to agree here, gentlemen, that he was not very good. And I think his best game he played was against the Lions. He was very inconsistent. We've seen what Dean can do when he's locked in. He needs to get locked in. The Bucs signed him to an extension. He needs to make plays. When there's an opportunity to make that play, catch the ball because we know he can go to the house. He's got everything that you want in a corner. He's got size. He's got strength. He's got speed. He just is too inconsistent. I like that back end. Antoine Winfield Jr., best safety in the game, bar none. You get back Jordan Whitehead. Nobody's talking about Whitehead, but the impact he made on this defense was amazing when he was here. Now you add with Tyke Smith. I got a chance to talk to him, guys. He's impressive. He's from Georgia. He may have some transition there, but he's definitely going to be your nickel corner. He's going to make some plays. So I'm excited about that back end. I get it. There's question marks about Zion and Jamel Dean, but they definitely got lots of potential, especially with that safety combination.
I got a question for you real quick, Peter.
Yeah.
I know you're doing season predictions and everything on Sunday, but
Yes.
if you had to predict where the secondary and the pass defense would be ranked at the end of the season, what would you say?
I'm high on this defense, right? They were like top 10 when it comes to points scored. I get it. There was some disappointing factors there with giving up 39 points to the Texans when you're playing that zone defense. I'm high on this defense overall. I'm high on this secondary, but guys, it all comes down to what? It's all predicated on the pass rush up front. If they can get after the quarterback a lot better than they did last year, I certainly would expect this secondary to be 10 to 15 in the league. That's my opinion.
Okay.
I have a problem with those numbers. Like when you see like how many yards they're giving up, it's kind of misleading because
right.
If you actually the Bucs, they had one of the best red zone defenses in the fucking league.
Yes, facts.
They do. They absolutely do. You give up those yards, and then you stop teams from scoring. I mean, that's what it's all
the bend
about.
but don't break concept from that defense. That's exactly what that is.
And I hear a lot of people always talking about us. Y'all give up a lot of yards.
Right.
Look how many give up.
Well, that's a very good point, said. You're bringing it tonight, man, here on the Plunder. I'm glad to be a part of this, guys. It's the first time. Hopefully it's not the last time. And he's exactly right about that. You don't give up those points in the red zone. You would like to alleviate those big plays. You saw that come back to haunt them last year with Jamel Dean doing his best impression of the lady from I've Fallen and I Can't Get Up after I dusted him. You don't want to see those type of plays. You don't want to see them giving up 39 points to a Texans team, which I get it at the time. Nobody knew how good CJ Stroud was, but anytime you score 37, you should win. And then furthermore, if you're getting that,
we all knew how bad Carlton Davis was.
Well, look,
except his daddy.
Well, listen, I talked to his dad, and I understand where his dad is coming from. His dad is going to defend his son. I get that. But here's brass tacks, right? Carlton Davis, we know how talented he is when he's healthy. But the problem is he wasn't able to stay healthy, and that's why this Buccaneer organization decided to move on from him. So good luck to him with the Lions. You're going to see him the second week. Hopefully if he's healthy, I would expect him to play in that game. And we know that Carlton Davis could be a shutdown corner. With that being said, it comes down to, not only giving up those yards and giving up those points, but also taking advantage of those turnover opportunities. When you got an interception, you got to make that interception because you can't give that team those second opportunities in the NFL. Guys, the NFL means not for long. You're giving a good team those second opportunities, they're going to make you pay. And then furthermore, you definitely want to stop the run. This is what this defense is. This is what the staple of this defense is. It starts on Sunday. It starts up front. And like I said, it's all predicated up front. If you get that pressure, that makes that linebacking core that much better. And it also makes that back end that much better.
I agree. Peter, before we go on, I want you to take a moment and plug yourself. Let everybody know where they can find you, where they can find your shows at, where they can follow you, how to search for you, and what social platforms you're on.
Yeah, guys, it's real simple. It's the evolution of sports talk television. It's on Monday and Wednesday nights at 9 o'clock here on Facebook. Friend me at Peter H. Blake. Go and like and subscribe to the Sports Web on YouTube. We'll be live 2 hours before the game at the What the Buck tailgate, and then also in collaboration with the JP Peterson Show on the field at Raymond James Stadium, taking your texts, taking your calls, and giving you what the evolution of sports talk television is. And also follow the Sports Web. If you don't want to see my mug, because some people say I got a face for radio, go and subscribe to the Sports Web on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all the podcasts out there. We say 3 things on this show. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Blake, your Rolex reporter. What time is it? It's my time. And for fans of the Sports Web and the Tampa Bay sports fan, including the Plunder, it's your time.
Love it, man. Love it. Man, look, I've appreciated your show from day one. You're one of those guys that, when I watch your show, it's not like, and don't get me wrong, when I say the name Chris Berman, he's probably one of my favorite sportscasters of all time. I love his passion for the sport. His knowledge for all the sports, especially football, was insatiable. And his charisma, or his charisma, excuse me, that stuck out. His charisma was insane. You know, the way he brought you in as a fan and as a little look. Honestly, Chris Berman's the only reason I'm doing. If Chris Berman doesn't exist, I'm not doing the Plunder. You know, he doesn't give me that inspiration to say, you know, with my personality and my characteristics, my knowledge, my love, and my passion, I can do that same thing.
Yeah.
And that's why. But like, I've followed your show for years, and now that I've gotten into it, I'm listening even more. I've been a guest on your show. I've called in a few times.
Yeah.
And I really respect your opinion. You are one of those that actually do keep your emotions out of it. I love that. On this show, maybe not in other places, on this show, I'm going to talk Bucks and I'm going to believe in the Bucks, but I'm also going to call a spade a spade. Yeah. There is no question about it. When I say 14-3, that's a big number, but tell me it's not ascertainable. How many games did we lose last year? One score away from winning.
I know. And listen, I predicted this team to have 10 wins last year, and I was only one game. And I keep on getting calls. Guys, I'm not live. These guys are live. We can't take any phone calls right now, but I was one game away, and it pains me to say that Houston game. And I feel like, again, you know, that could have been the game that puts me over the top. So I was one game away from having a 10-7 record. Of course, they finished 9-8, but you know, it didn't necessarily start out well with 4-7. And they're able to rectify the ship, get a big win in Atlanta, get a big win against the Green Bay Packers and the Jacksonville Jaguars. And at that point, the dominating performance against the Eagles. And they're a couple plays away here, Derek, you know, from being in the NFC Championship game versus the Lions. So we'll see what happens. I think the excitement is there. I think Bucs fans, get ready, put your seatbelt on. Again, 11-6. I'll give that out there, but definitely tune into the evolution of sports talk television, my friend. I gotta go. I'm gonna watch this game. You guys keep on killing it. BucDad, you keep on killing it. Ted, you keep on killing it. And of course, Derek, you keep on killing it here on the Plunder. We'll see you later. All right.
All right, brother. Sir, I appreciate you. We'll see you Sunday.
See you Sunday, man.
So, guys, check it out. This is something we're actually going to stay on the Commanders real quick. And I'm sorry about the lighting right here. I'm outside, and my light kind of went off on me, so I'm using my flashlight. But today, a tweet came out, and I want to know, we're going to talk about who's been trash-talking the league. And I didn't find out the identity, and over a few days, it's going to come out. You can guarantee it, just like it came out about other things and about other players. The Washington Commanders have fired an employee, and I'm talking about this because Commanders, you know why? Because fuck the Commanders, go Bucks. The Commanders have fired an employee one day after the video surfaced in which comments were made about the team's players being anti-gay, accused Jerry Jones of being racist, and called NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell a $50 million puppet. Just for shits and giggles, what are your guys' thoughts?
I've been frying the Commanders all day on Twitter about that shit.
Yeah, but Jerry Jones is racist, bro. Like, that's a spade a spade.
I mean, but that one right there didn't shock me. It was the first one and the last one. I mean, the last one didn't shock me, but it was like, whoa, you know, that guy's paying your, like, I mean, he's not paying your check, but like, Jesus. And you work for this team. Like, that's like me working for McDonald's, getting and where I live in Panama, there's a small sub town called Callaway right outside the Panama city limits. And they've got a Burger King and a McDonald's right next to each other. So that would be like me working at McDonald's in my uniform and then going and eating a cheeseburger at Burger King. Like, you got to be more careful than that. Like, now what we're wanting to focus on is we've got a little thing that we've been building up for you guys for about a month. We've been talking about this, BucDad and I, and I think it's going to be a really fun addition to the show. And by all means, Sid, you're more than welcome to stay around and partake. But we don't have a bunch more to conversate about before we get gone. But the next segment we have, I said we don't have much before we're gonna get off here to talk about, but you're cool with staying around on this next segment and participating. And the next segment is going to be called Parlay or Plank. And BucDad is going to be taking that over this season for us. And what it's going to ascertain is we're thinking about bringing in odds and different things like that. But we're going to do a weekly pick'em of the games. And we're also going to add a few other notes and things like that. If you guys got anything you want to hear as far as what we bring to the show, put it in the comments of the show. Send us a DM, hit us up. Let us know if there's anything you'd like to see. You guys, we're building this show for you, and I'm bringing as much content. I try to talk about things that I feel are going to be interesting. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to listen to the fans. You can call me Triple H and WWE right now because I'm going to listen to what you got to say. And if it makes sense, we're going to bring it to you guys. So, BucDad, as of right now, I'm going to pass it off to you and let you take the lead, sir.
All right. Well, first off, I want you in this conversation because we're going to start this off with the weekly picks. So I went through the entire schedule. We got NFL season about to kick off here in about 8 minutes. First things first, I got Baltimore upsetting Kansas City on their quest to three-peat.
Team dark skin.
Nah, bro, they just got a shit ton of running backs. Even that dude that claims to be a quarterback.
I also got the Baltimore Ravens winning.
But that's my upset of the week, though, in a way.
Man, I'm
you
just
can call it an upset.
Hey, plus, bro, what opportunity do you get to see Swifties cry? I got Green Bay beating Philly.
Man, fuck both of them. That's
I know that was, hey, bro, there was a few games that I didn't even want to pick, but I had to do it, for the segment.
I kind of agree with Sid, but I agree with BucDad at the same time. I think the Packers defense is a little better than people are gonna, think they're going to be, and I don't think that the Philadelphia team is going to be what we expect them to be, at least until the middle of the season.
Go ahead, Sid. What's up?
Oh, y'all waiting on what you said?
Yeah, I'm saying it. I heard you trying to chime in. What's up on that?
Oh, man, that's number 3 and number 4 on my most hated list. I wish both of them could lose, but looking at it logically, I would have to give Philly the edge because that's a more dynamic offense than.
Okay,
fair enough.
See, I was thinking because of the simple fact you eliminate the tush push with Kelsey retiring.
Nah, nigga, we retired that shit.
Oh, yeah. We did.
Yeah, we did.
But they're not going to attempt it anymore at this point.
Oh yeah.
If he would have stayed in the league, they would have kept going for it.
Yeah.
They would have had that belief, bro, that just because we stopped it doesn't mean anybody else does.
But that whole play was predicated on the athletic ability of Jason Kelsey, not the team.
Correct.
All them goddamn fans.
Who's next?
Now, I got Arizona over Buffalo.
Ooh, that's an upset.
Because I think...
Yes.
Nah, hell no, that's not an upset.
Yes.
Explain, please.
I got them winning 7 games this year. They ain't that good, in my opinion.
I understand that they lost.
I'm not saying they're. Hey, I'm not going to say they're going to be that good.
Their offense, I believe they're going to be able to score some points, but I don't think they're going to be able to keep those good teams that they're going to face away from scoring points because their defense.
I don't necessarily think Arizona's going to be that good of a team. It's that Buffalo is going to take that big of a step back.
Fair enough.
Losing Stephon Diggs.
I've got Buffalo winning this game 17-13.
Buck, they lost their wide receiver 1 and 2.
Hey, yeah, you're right, but I don't have my faith in Josh Allen in this game. I just don't.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I still believe in Josh Allen, even though he's gonna turn the fucking ball over. I still believe in him.
I believe in James Cook and Dalton Kincaid.
You really
I-
think? Ooh,
I mean, no, I believe Buffalo's going to win. I think he's going to lean on James Cook. I believe the rush game in Buffalo is going to increase its need on the field because of the lack of the wide receiver depth right now, because of what you mentioned, them losing both their number 1 and number 2. They lost Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs. They did draft a wide receiver that, I mean, you can call me a homer and that's fine, but he was also drafted in the first round in Keon Coleman, who predicts to be a prolific wide receiver. You know, his potential's there. They also have, who was it? Me and my son were actually talking about him. Who's that other wide receiver they got? Curtis Samuel, who was like the fourth, like what he the third or fourth option on the Washington Commanders when he was there. Said,
Hey, Vernon, just to clarify, bro, Stephon Diggs didn't go to Arizona. He went to Houston.
He went to Houston, yes.
And I don't think in Houston that's going to be a problem. I think
No.
he's more. He's.
I
he's
think he's
going
going to
to
get along with him just fine. I think his relationship with Josh Allen was fucked. So who's next?
I mean, I agree.
Yeah, I think that's why he left, as their relationship. I think that's what started that separation, is him and Josh really falling apart. Them throwing the whole bank at Josh Allen and you know, and they wanted to pay him, but like, you know, he wasn't feeding them the ball. The offensive scheme wasn't there, so it made him resent Josh Allen, in my opinion.
Yeah. But you know, and this is why I think. Do I think Buffalo's going to fall off this year? No.
Right.
But I'm going to disagree with Vernon that Buffalo's going to lose at home this week to Arizona. I think Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. are going to show some magic in week 1 just because.
You know, I hope you're right, because I really hope that everything Kyler Murray's been through, they can get it right this year.
I am going with that just because, just so you're aware.
Fair enough.
Moving on. I got Cincinnati over New England.
Same.
I got the Giants beating Minnesota. Just because, and again, just because.
Is Sam Darnold the Baker Mayfield of
Justin
this year?
Jefferson?
Is Sam Darnold the Baker Mayfield of this year?
The Baker? Hell no. Hell
in the
no.
house.
Hell no.
Where are we at?
All right.
We're at Minnesota and
you're grounded though. I got Chicago beating Tennessee.
where are they at this week?
They're in Chicago.
They're in Chicago. I got Chicago winning that game.
I do. I got Chicago as my sleeper team this year because a lot of people think they're going to be shit.
I actually watched all 3 of their preseason games. They played really well.
Yeah, I did.
BucDad, for that same exact reason, is why Tennessee is my sleeper team. That's one of the most improved defenses in the NFL.
Okay.
Yes.
Their
question mark is offense, not defense at all.
Hey, I'm not going to argue with you on that, bro, because you're right.
The only question mark on that offense is Will Levis. And now Will Levis is surrounded with fucking weapons. Not weapons. Fucking weapons. If he show up this year.
He has no excuse not to succeed this year.
Hey, I was told D-Hop's going to go off in Tennessee. Do you agree?
No.
He's going to be a security blanket.
Yeah. D-Hop is number 2.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Ridley is the number 1.
Yes.
My cousin right here is a tight fan. He ain't disagreeing with me.
No. Ridley is clear number 1 at this point in Hopkins' career. Yeah, without a question.
All right. Now,
I agree with you. I think Tennessee gonna beat Chicago. Just off those reasons.
Okay.
We'll revisit that. I'm good with that.
Okay.
Now, hey, Stan, you can understand that this game was hard as fuck to pick because I don't like either fucking team. We got the kittens and some taints.
Huh?
I
I
ain't
got
gonna
New
talk to you.
Orleans winning that, and that's gonna be the most. Bro, I got that being a boring ass
Oh.
game because I don't even want to see the shit.
I'm putting my mic
you
on mute until you go to another game.
Oh, the Panthers and the Aints? Yeah, next.
Yeah, that. And hey, we ain't even gotta talk about it because
I ain't giving
I got
credit. Neither
Pittsburgh
one.
beating. Hey, I got Pittsburgh beating Atlanta.
Oh, we can
Really?
skip that game.
Pittsburgh beating it. I want to hear what, because I'm not sure. This was a tough game for me because I believe both of these teams have potential. The defense is. I actually got Pittsburgh having his. I got Tomlin actually having his first losing season this year.
That's a bold one.
Okay.
Now, before we get to this game, can I have your opinion on the current version of Aaron Rodgers right now, going into this season?
Oh, shit. That's hard, man. I've been an Aaron Rodgers fan his whole career. I don't necessarily like the way in his later half of his career when he went to this, a la peace, groovy fucking persona, personality, to the public and all. But he's gotten a lot arrogant over the last few years, which has made me shy away from caring about listening, watching him. But coming off of this damn injury, you got to think that you got to be a really great athlete to perform on a high level like he did. Now, what you want to expect is somewhere in between that, and knowing where they were last year defensively, their offense was capable. They've got, like you said, fucking weapons up in the Jets, training room. And the thing about Aaron Rodgers to me is not his ability or his mind, but it's going to be his ability, because part of what Aaron Rodgers was not a mobile quarterback, but he was a mobile quarterback, and that's where he made his money. He got 5 or 6 yards this way or that way and extended the play just a little bit to give those receivers down the field, whether it be receiver or tight end or a running back, time. But honestly, I had a tough time picking the Jets or the Dolphins to win that division, and I actually got the Jets coming in the playoffs as a wild card. But a lot of people are riding with the Jets this year. I've just got, there's the question mark's too big for Aaron Rodgers right now.
Yeah, I got San Fran winning that game just because I dislike Aaron Rodgers.
Where is that game at?
San Fran.
Okay.
What I was getting with the Aaron Rodgers thing.
Uh-huh.
Do you hold that same standard for Kirk Cousins?
Yes, without a question.
Okay.
The difference with Kirk Cousins is I don't believe he's quite as mobile and as far as shiftiness, as far as the athletic ability, but I believe he's the same style. He does move out of the pocket and extend the plays a little bit. He doesn't give up the ball like the same way Aaron Rodgers doesn't. They got great accuracy. They've got great minds. The difference between both of them is kind of coincidentally the same. The playoffs. They haven't gotten where they needed to be in the playoffs when they were there.
Aaron Rodgers has been successful in the playoffs, just not as of late.
Yes. I mean, when his team was capable, I believe he was there every year.
Kirk Cousins never been successful.
No. As far as the playoffs, no. But I'm saying here as of late, that's what you remember of Aaron Rodgers, because it's a what do you do now for me type of sport. No, but I can't give him his
real
flowers.
quick. Happy kickoff, fellas.
Hey, happy kickoff. Football season is here, everybody.
Dumbass kickoff. Oh, man.
Hey, I'm just saying. Football's back, bitches.
All right, so what's next?
I got the Dolphins over the Jags.
Agreed.
I can agree.
Okay. I got the Texans over the Colts.
Agreed.
What do you think, Seth?
Thinking about this one, cuz.
It's actually a tough one.
I know, bro. Hey, that was a hard one for me, but
this is actually one game I want to watch because I never seen Anthony Richardson. So I'm going to watch this game.
Yeah, that was my whole thing. Is bro, now you get Anthony Richardson back in. He's healthy.
Yeah.
What can he do?
And I think they're going to be better. I believe they're going to push. I think they make the playoffs.
Here's my question for both of you guys. Then, if Anthony Richardson would have stayed healthy, would he have beat out C.J. Stroud for Rookie of the Year?
Hell,
No.
boy, that white
No.
man.
No.
Okay,
No.
Not in my
all
opinion.
right. No, I'm good with that.
He would have been in the conversation, but C.J. Stroud just had too many capable weapons, and that system over there with D'Amico Ryan. D'Amico Ryans is going to be a hell of a coach.
Yeah, he
Straight
is.
up. Straight up.
No, I'm good with that. I'm absolutely. Hey, Derek. By the way, we got fantasy going on. Fuck off.
I
Yeah,
only
hey,
got one guy tonight, and that's Patty Mahomes, but he's in a non-money league, so I ain't worried about it.
no, I got the Seahawks over Denver.
Agreed.
I got to agree with that right now until I see a couple of games from that new quarterback.
Now, this one was really hard to pick,
know-
but it was real easy to go with as well. I got the Browns over the Cowboys because fuck the Cowboys.
Everybody.
No, it's like, do you realize that Zeke is the Cowboys starting running back?
Yeah.
I don't think Zeke's got it in him no more.
I don't think so neither.
You know,
What
I
else
think
they
their
got?
run game is going to be putrid this year, and that's what's going to keep them out of the playoffs, in my opinion.
I think
I
the
do
Cowboys be like, this ain't no hating shit. I just think they're going to be ass this year. Yeah, I'm picking the Browns.
I can't
Okay.
pick the Browns because they're starting Deshaun Watson.
No, I'm picking the Browns because of that damn amazing defense.
Yeah, I would say that defense did it for me.
Well, the defense is really good, but what you got to know is outside of the run game, dude, they got a good fucking offense over there in Dallas. I mean, they got CeeDee Lamb just signed earlier this week. There was a report coming out today that Dak and the Cowboys are actually really close to completing that contract signing. And if they get that contract,
but you know what though? Here's my thing. What the fuck is no disrespect to all that, but what the fuck does a contract got to do with the production on the field? Look
actually,
at Lamar,
with a lot of
bro.
prima donnas in the
Hang on,
NFL,
though.
has a lot.
Look at Lamar Jackson. I got a Ravens fan that'll sit here and tell me, bro, he's won MVP. He's this and that. Where's the Lombardi, bro?
That's a fair
All right,
point.
listen to me.
That's my. We do record. You know, we measure things on that level, right?
I mean,
Where's
you're
the
right.
Lombardi?
You're right.
Lamar's a good quarterback. Is he great? No.
Not yet.
Go out.
Is he a GOAT? No.
Nope.
And it is because, bro, when he's in the playoffs, how many rings you got? Oh, you're an MVP? You got 2 MVPs? That's adorable.
It's the same. It's the same criteria you count under. You know, Kirk Cousins under. You know, he can win all the games in the world during the season, but he gets to the playoffs and can't win a playoff game.
Absolutely. Now, moving forward with that one, I got the Bucks over Washington. I got the Lions over the Rams on Sunday Night Football.
I agree.
Hold on.
Okay, either said hit had a real good hit or he disagrees.
No, he thinking about disagreeing.
I'm taking the Rams in this one.
Okay.
They in SoFi, ain't they?
No, they're in Detroit.
Well,
Oh, they're in Detroit?
Yeah, Puka and goddamn Kyrie. Nice tag team, bro. And the defense
That is a very and look, Stafford is one of those quarterbacks you're going to depend on regardless. Like the rookie year when that guy came in and threw his shoulder out and still threw the touchdown. Like, are you
Bro, I've always been a fan of Matt Stafford. I hate the fact that his path to the Super Bowl was a fucking story, some fucking script bullshit following what we did.
Yeah.
Like, I can't stand that. Like, I would have loved to have seen him win a Super Bowl in Detroit.
Yeah, no doubt. That would have been cool. That would have been like Megatron winning a Super Bowl in Detroit was like Barry Sanders, which is not the same as as Matt Stafford. I mean,
No,
you
they're
could
not the
almost say it
same. To
was.
me, they're on level because they're two of the greatest of our generation in Detroit, probably of the entire organization, and they never won a Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
And for different reasons. One had an injury plagued career that ended his career, and the one just never got there.
Oh, real quick, going back to the game tomorrow night. I got a quick question for you. Over under, because we're not in Kansas anymore, people. All right, we know where this game is at, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Over
under 32. Okay. 32. So
I'll agree.
I got the under in that game because I believe that travel is in that environment is really going to wear them out, when it comes time to that game.
It might be a sloppy game.
Most of those games across seas, if you've remembered, there's only been a few great
international games get pretty sloppy in a way.
Yes.
Hey, don't they go there like 4 days in advance?
They actually were there. Let's see, what's today? Friday? No, today's Thursday. They were there Tuesday. I think they were there Tuesday or yesterday. But still, like you're spending time practicing, but these guys are out in this countryside, and like they're doing all this stuff. I don't believe they're going to be completely in the game when it comes time.
I mean, it's not that big of a time change. You're only going south.
What's not the time change?
No, they said it was only 2 hours over what?
Yeah, it's only like it's like being in Mountain Time.
Yeah, like I'm in Central, or it'd be like being in Pacific Time. Yeah, it ain't that big of a goddamn time change. So it'll be all right.
You in Central Standard Time?
Yeah.
Where are you at?
Memphis?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, their time zone swap.
Okay.
Well, you thought I was in the East Coast?
Vernon said.
Yeah, I actually thought you was on the East Coast.
Vernon said he believes that they both score under 17 points.
That's why I said the over 32.
Yeah, I agree. So who's Monday night? Do we got a doubleheader Monday?
No, we just got Jets.
No, we don't have a doubleheader because we got the Friday game.
Yeah, we got Jets and San Fran. I got San Fran over the Jets, bro.
That's the San Fran Jets. That's the Monday night.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Come on, man.
Okay. All right. Well, other than that, guys, I don't have a lot to chat about.
Well, I was gonna say, do you want to?
Yeah, I'm out of here, guy. I got company, man. We watching the game.
Hey, I appreciate you coming on, brother. I really do. And y'all enjoy the game, and we'll chat.
All right.
All right, man. Take it easy, Sid. Before we cut off, I was going to say we've got one more thing, but you were going to say something. What was that?
I was going to say, if you want to talk about the fantasy lineups.
Yeah. Real quick. Let's do that before I go into the other.
I was going to say, I'm going to tell you who you should play and who you should not play this week.
Okay. All right.
For all you fantasy gurus.
All right, listen up, everybody. This is going to be not a stardom sit-em, but this is your parlay or plank.
Now, although I do not have Houston beating Indianapolis, I do think it's a smart play if you start Anthony Richardson this week. Just because the man's healthy, he's healed, he's back. He's going to show you why Indy has him as the man. Jared Goff against the Lions, as well as Matthew Stafford against the Rams, or against the Lions.
Both of those defenses are going to bomb this weekend, huh? You're going to shoot out.
I do. Now, I also got Jaden Daniels as somebody that you should start because I said the Bucs defense always tends to historically have issues against rookie quarterbacks and backups.
That's not 100% guaranteed, but that's a bona fide fact, my friend.
Well, hey, we got
man,
the first
backing you,
touchdown
I'm
of the
supporting your
NFL
statement.
season.
I've seen it once or twice that we've had a decent game against a young or rookie quarterback, where the rest of those times, and I can count 8 to 10 of those times that we have completely bombed and looked like a freaking peewee team.
Yeah.
And I got to concur.
Now, real quick, first touchdown of the NFL season, Derrick Henry.
Oh. Derrick Henry, first touchdown.
Now, moving on to quarterbacks this week that you need to put their ass on that bench.
Okay.
I got Brock Purdy versus the Jets. Although I do got San Fran winning, I do believe he throws a few picks and he's going to hinder you this week.
Makes sense. That defense is nasty.
Absolutely. Justin Herbert versus the Raiders.
Yeah, I think it's going to take a couple of games for that guy to get back in his groove.
Yeah, absolutely. Aaron Rodgers against the 49ers. For the same reason I got you sitting Brock Purdy, I got you sitting Aaron Rodgers. They might put up some numbers, but their interception ratio is going to kind of take a hit this week.
So you think Aaron Rodgers struggles to begin his year?
Absolutely.
Okay, fair enough.
Now, we talked about this last quarterback a few times tonight. You're sitting Kirk Cousins against the Steelers.
Oh, yeah.
Now, moving down to your running backs. You're starting James Conner against Buffalo.
Okay.
You're gonna start Raheem Mostert.
Okay.
Against the Jaguars.
All right, makes sense.
You're also going to start Javonte Williams against the Seahawks.
Okay.
You're going to start Zamir White against the Chargers.
Okay. I think he's going to be that bell cow out there in Vegas.
Oh, bro, I do. Josh Jacobs is gone. They need somebody.
And I think Zamir White showed flashes last year to be that guy.
Yeah, he did. And I think this is where he really cements himself. Now, you're going to sit Austin Eckler this week against the Bucs because that Bucs rush defense is going to give him nightmares.
You said Austin Eckler and Brian Robinson Jr. as far as that goes.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, the Washington running back room should not be picked this week.
Hell no. You're going to stick Jalen Warren against the Falcons.
Okay.
You're going to stick Chase Brown and Zach Moss against the Patriots. You're going to sit Rico Dowdle, however the hell you say that, and Zeke Elliott against the Bengals.
Yeah, they got a good front seven out there in Cincinnati.
You seem kind of surprised, though. You noticing any favorites there?
No, actually, I can concur with most of the picks you've got so far on the parlay side and the plank side. Looking at what I know or what I seem to expect from these defenses, and I'm not a guru by any stretch of fantasy, but when I say I run fantasy every year, football, I don't play baseball. I dabble a little bit in daily basketball, but football, I play in fantasy leagues. I play daily football. I bet on the spread and the parlays and the over and unders every year, and I 90% of the time have more money than I put in at the beginning of the year. And that, to me, sounds like a winning record. Now, that being said, these picks that you've got are pretty on point based off of your reasoning, so I can't disagree with them. I'm not surprised with any of them.
Okay. Now, let's move on.
I was actually excited to hear the White reference out in Vegas. That was a cool thing because I put a lot of research into him and getting my fantasy teams together. And he was one of those backs that I'm looking at as the wide receiver running back slot or the third running back position, on my fantasy roster. I ended up going with James Conner, to be honest with you, which was a more valuable pick at that point. Although saying James Conner's name, James Conner slacks or gets hurt, watch out for Trey Benson. Trey Benson is a running back from Florida State who was highly touted. He was drafted in the first round, maybe the second round. I think second round, maybe the first round. But he's going to be lightning in a bottle. Just keep his name in your head moving forward this year. If James Conner, something comes up with James Conner, watch out for Trey Benson.
Well, it's all right because you ain't got him right now, so
No, I
that's all
don't.
that matters. Now, moving on to wide receiver.
Okay.
He's playing tonight, and you better hope he does good because I'm telling you this. You better have Rashee Rice against Baltimore on your roster.
He's not starting.
Calvin Ridley against the Bears.
That is a bad pick. I think that Bears. No, whoa. No. I take that back. I forgot. My bad. That's actually a good pick because their cornerbacks are not that great, and they just lost Eddie Jones, their safety. Didn't they lose Eddie Jones?
Eddie Jackson.
Jackson. I said Jones. Sorry.
Well, I don't know for sure.
I want to say he moved on to another team, so I can get on board with that.
Well, you should.
Yeah,
Now.
I should because BucDad reported it on Parlay and Playing. That's why.
Absolutely. Now, what you need to do as well is you better have Terry McLaurin against the Buccaneers secondary.
Yeah.
Because I think he's gonna
I
eat
can see him getting
Zion
on.
alive.
Now,
I'm
who
not
would you
sure.
put if you put in one guy to follow him from the Bucs defense? Who you gonna put Zion on?
I think they do.
I think they do because his speed is better.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Zion's way
I
quicker
mean-
than Jamel.
Yeah, I don't think Jamel has the speed. Now I know, and I will agree, he does have the reach.
Oh yeah,
But
And the
I
skill.
think the lack of speed is what faults him to where the reach isn't even going to matter.
yeah. And Terry McLaurin is a speed demon. That dude's
Oh,
fast.
yeah.
That dude's fast.
Now, another speed demon that I'm excited to see, Malik Neighbors against the Vikings.
He should be in the starting lineup almost every game this year. And the reason why I say that, not because I think he's that damn good, it's because he is really good. And that's the only damn thing they got in New York besides Jalen Hyatt, and he's proven inconsistent. I think Malik Neighbors is going to contend for the offensive rookie of the year this year because of that. They're going to feed Malik Neighbors. And if he can stay healthy, he should stay in your lineup. I love that pick.
Well, and you better have him in your lineup.
I do. And one of my leagues.
One person that you better have on your bench, wide receiver wise this week, Zay Flowers against Kansas City.
Yeah.
I don't see him putting together enough production tonight to warrant him starting over the guys that I had listed.
Yeah, makes sense.
And there's a few others that I could put on there, such as Chris Godwin and Mike Evans on our side. And even a sleeper, bro, Jalen McMillan. Like, he could easily be a sleeper this year. And I'm glad I got him rostered.
Well, you got to think about it. I mean, it's going to depend on the majority of the formations that your offense runs. And from what we've heard, for what I've heard, let me phrase that, and this is not, bona fide, but there's going to be a lot more 21 personnel. And that is your 2 wide receivers and 1 running back. Now, that's not to say that you're not going to see a 3rd wide receiver on the field a bunch. That's just saying the majority, of the formations that they expect. But again, that could also be a sack of rubbish, man, because, you know, you never want to give out your secrets. Even in the preseason, they talk about how bland they try to make this, you know, the playbook. But Zay Flowers, going back to Zay Flowers, that's a guy who I believe he's going to have a good year. I believe he's going to have a breakout year. But against that defense, yeah.
Well, another one you better not play this week, and I know it sounds really bad, but there's way too many weapons out there in Chicago. The one person you need to sit is Roma Dunze.
Okay. I mean, after what I saw in the preseason, I want to disagree with that because I believe the chemistry between him and Caleb, you know, it started back at, you know, the draft, literally. And I think that's beneficial for that team. And we mentioned it earlier how decent they were last year at having no quarterback with Justin Fields, and then coming in to have, you know, a quarterback with probably more potential than Justin Fields when he came out of the college ranks. But I really have high anticipatory views on that tandem this year.
Okay.
But I don't have him in any lineup, so I don't have to worry about it. And if you got him in your lineup, guys, listen, we're not professionals, but we do our research to bring this product, the whole thing, from the beginning of the show to the end of the show to you. And by all means, don't go betting your house on anything we put out there. But when we bring you this information, it's based off of the research that we put in. And if you're watching this, then you value our opinions and our research. So just take that into consideration.
Agreed. Now, another person that you need to sit this week, and you had mentioned his name earlier, but I don't see the reason to start him. Keon Coleman against Arizona.
Yeah, I believe it's too soon to start him. I actually have him as a reserve, but he's going to be a guy that you probably see me start moving in about week 4, 5, or 6. You know, and it's not because of the buys. It's just because, you know, you really want to see how that chemistry starts to develop between quarterback and, you know, the wide receiver. And to be on point, there's an injury in Curtis Samuel that's keeping him hindered. He's questionable right now. The word is he should be ready to go Sunday. But that being said, you got receiver A with an injury and receiver B. And I expect Keon Coleman to be a starter. And if he's not, he's probably the number 3 receiver. And if that's the case, they're still going to lock down those guys and make that banged up receiver who's going to be on a play count to beat you. And that's just the way the schemes are going to work in the NFL when you're facing teams like that, when you're facing a guy with injuries.
I agree with you.
So I agree with that assessment. The next few weeks is probably going to be a good thing to stay away from Keon Coleman.
Now, the next one on this list, and you can even add his counterpart on the other side, but I got Jordan Addison against the Giants. You don't want to start him this week. It's not the greatest of ideas. And like I said, you can even put Justin Jefferson. Because I am not sold on Sam Darnold. I'm not. And I know
he's probably like he's probably your Piggly Wiggly version of Kirk Cousins.
Not even.
No, he plays worse and he throws interceptions.
Bro, he's your red-headed Matt Leinart.
That's good.
Now, moving on to tight ends. We had talked about it behind, off camera and all that. You had, high praises for this player in a way, even though he's one of our rivals. But tight ends this week to start. Kyle Pitts versus Pittsburgh.
Oh, yes.
Jake
Kirk Cousins is a tight end quarterback.
Oh, he is.
That's why his passing percentage is so high. A lot of people think he's really that accurate. A lot of his accuracy comes from checking down and taking those shorter intermediate routes, which is 90% of the time your tight ends. That safety net for a quarterback is the tight end, and he's always been that one that has a great relationship on the field with tight ends. And he's had great tight ends as far as I know, all the way back to his Washington days, where he had Jordan Reed when he was in the league just coming out, and Jordan Reed was a stud when he first came into the league, and then he comes over to Minnesota and gets hot. So that's going to be a good tag team this year for the Falcons, and I hate to say that.
Oh, it is, bro, and it's going to be a lot of fun, in my opinion. Now, another one that you want to do, and I was talking about it, Jake Ferguson versus the Browns.
Yes. I like that one.
Dallas
Jake Ferguson.
Goddard.
Jake Ferguson, he's in the same category as a Cade Otton, who really don't give enough credit for their play.
Yeah, I agree.
We're going to change that by the end of the year, I know, with Otton, because I think this is a breakout year for the guy.
Yeah. Dallas Goddard of the Packers.
Okay.
Tyler Conklin with the Jets.
With the Jets, yeah.
Versus the 49ers. Because you know Aaron Rodgers, man, it's going to be his out guy. And it's okay.
He's also one of those quarterbacks that knows how to get rid of the ball a lot quicker than the average quarterback. And I think that's why that's going to help Tyler Conklin and the other tight ends that's going to be on the field, as well as the running back, to get a lot of production. Breece Hall and Tyler Conklin are going to be studs this week, in my opinion.
Agreed. Now, who to sit? We're going to go with David Njoku.
Yep, sat him.
Against the Cowboys. Brock Bowers against the Chargers.
And the funny thing with Brock Bowers is they had a ball out young tight end in Vegas.
Yeah.
And they went and got Brock. But see, Brock Bowers is one of those, he's almost like a George Kittle. He's not a tight end. He's almost like a George Kittle. He's in between a George Kittle and a Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts can literally be a wide receiver, where George Kittle's a little too big and a little too slow for that wide receiver, but you can move him out in the slot at times and get him matched up against a smaller cornerback in those short intermediate passes, to get a first down or something like that, where it's really critical. But at the same time, yeah, I got high hopes.
You should. Now, another one to sit. Dalton Schultz against the Texans.
Is that because he's starting in my roster?
It might be. Might have a little bit of activity to it.
Look, I got Dalton Schultz. I'm high on that cat. I got him and Cade Otton are my go-to tight ends this year, because I focus the way I draft my strategy. My tight ends are probably my wide receivers and my running backs. That's number one. Everything else is after that. Everything. And you can pick those good, as far as fantasy goes. You can take a medium to medium high level type player as far as production in the tight end room, and consistently have that, where you go with a George Kittle who's going to get 19, and then 6, because he's having a down day or something like that, where you get that consistency of those 9 to 12 points is something I look for, because my running backs and my wide receivers, I expect them to get those 18, 19 to 60 points, depending on the type of league and the scoring in your league. So yeah, that's a little tidbit for you.
No, I agree with you. Now, the last one on my list, Cole Kmet against the Titans.
Okay. Well, you can't argue with that to a degree, because that Titans defense, again, that defense is why they're on the map in Nashville.
Now, I'm gonna let you finish, but I'm gonna end this little segment too with Parlay or Playing of your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, if you got them rostered this week, I'm going to tell you what you can expect to get from them this week.
Okay.
But go ahead with your final thoughts there on the Cole Kmet.
On Cole Kmet, you know, I'm high on Cole Kmet as a player week in and week out. There's a lot of matchups you can have. I think he's probably a top 15 tight end easily. The consistency of Caleb Williams is going to be the key, and that's a huge reason why you do want to hold him out if you've got other options as far as the tight end goes. So in the end, you know, I can't argue with this because, again, going back to it, that defense is going to be, you know, very pivotal in Tennessee. And earlier in the show, we actually said this game is the number one game of the week or the season. So it's the game that the teams are most prepared for, but the players are the least prepared for. So, you know, it's kind of wishy-washy as to what you're going to see, you know, and Cole Kmet is one of those tight ends that hasn't proved that he can come out week one and be that guy, as opposed to a George Kittle, you know, type player.
No, absolutely. Now, like I had mentioned, if you have any of these Tampa Bay Buccaneers rostered, you can expect, or you could get. They're going to be projected. What I'm about to tell you.
Well, I got a few Buccaneers in my roster, so
All right, and I know this one's on your roster because I'm staring at the name on both my notes and your roster. Now, Baker Mayfield might get you 15, almost 16 points. I'm saying that, though, because last year he connected on 8 TDs of 20 yards or more. That was second most in the NFL. If you're looking in your ground game, because, man, ain't no other Bucs quarterback going to play this week. Rashad White, if you got him rostered, expect to get about a little over 13.5 points. And Derek's going to go look right now. Because I'm saying that because, man, Rashad White is one of the best pass catching threats in his position. Last year, getting around 64 receptions for 550 yards and 4 TDs on 70 targets, bro. Like, that is insane shit.
Yes, that's Christian McCaffrey numbers, people.
And you know what? The only
and that guy
person
stands
over
on an
him,
island all on his own.
I was going to say, he was the only person rated over Rashad White last year.
Yep.
It did take White 14 games to kind of get into everything. But
It
the
took our
final
team
8,
10 games.
It did. Actually, it took him about 12 games.
Yeah. The last 6 or 7 games of the year, he carried
I was going to say,
offense.
the last 7 games, man, from what I was reading.
He was the most valuable player of the second half of the season, in my opinion, last year.
Oh, absolutely. Now, this week, if you got Bucky Irving on your roster, I wouldn't start him, but you can put him in a good flex position if you don't have anybody. Because he can get you about a little over 4.5 points. Now, that ain't going to get you a lot. That's about kicker-esque numbers. But if you just have a roster full of playmakers and you just need to fill that flex position, then go ahead and throw in Bucky Irving because he can get you that little bit of a kicker. And you'd be surprised what could happen depending on how everything goes Sunday. Because if it's rain, I see him being put in the mix a little bit. Moving on to your wide receivers. We're going to go with Mike Evans. Is going to get you about 13.5 points. And he is looking to get that 11 for 11 1,000-yard season, my man.
Okay.
Chris Godwin. It's going to get you a little about 12.6 points, about 12.7. Could be more depending on how this slot position works out for him. Because like I mentioned earlier, last year from the slot, bro, he was hit 32. He was targeted 32% of the time. Just about 5 catches a game, man. We can't have that coming from our number 2 receiver, arguably our 1B receiver.
Yes.
Now, I do have this young man in another one of my rosters. I don't have him in the one that I'm about to whoop your ass in. Jalen McMillan. If you got him rostered, he'd also be a really good flex option. Looking to get you about almost 8 points. Don't be surprised, though, if it's less from the rookie because they're still trying to figure out how to get this young man in. But we know we locked in at least the starting role for that number 3 position. But he is going to be sharing that time with Trey Palmer. And you know that because Palmer's probably going to get about 4 points this week. And that's not to say, you need to put Palmer anywhere in your lineup. You should probably put him on the bench. We'll add that to my plank.
Yeah.
But that's the reason Jalen McMillan is not going to get about 13 points this week. Because I see the Bucs air offense whooping some ass.
Oh yeah. I see our pass game. Like I said, I predicted Baker Mayfield to have over 260 yards and 2 touchdowns. And that's not including the potential anywhere between 20 and 40 yards he can get on the ground because he will get out of that pocket to move the ball if he sees that's a better option than throwing that damn thing away. I'm telling you.
No, I'm not. No, I'll tell you right now, between McMillan and Palmer, it might be a good problem to have because the second half of the season, doing a little bit of research, Palmer improved on his catch rate, hitting about 57% of his on 68 targets.
Yeah.
He
had a lot better second half of the year than he did first.
He did. And listen to these numbers for the second half of the season. 39 receptions, 389 yards, 3 TDs.
Okay. That's not horrible.
No.
Not at all.
Not bad for a rookie number 3.
Yeah. And at the time, he was actually a number 4 or 5, but because of injuries to Russell Gage, that pushed him up in the depth chart.
I would say there were a few injuries last year.
Oh yeah.
And again, thanks to an injury from Sterling Shepard, who was probably going to be slated in that position, Palmer again has a chance to shine in his second year, but he's going to be sharing it with that rookie Jalen McMillan.
Yeah, and I don't think Jalen's going to be very friendly with it. I believe you know me, I'm high on McMillan. He's actually going to be the first or second, depending on what nerve I've got. When I buy my first jersey this season, it's probably going to either be Barton or McMillan.
I might end up with a Barton one just because, but I like McMillan.
Yeah, McMillan is going to – I'm high on that cat. I've been high on him since the day we drafted him. I was high on him. I mean, I wasn't high on him before. I didn't have him on my radar because I didn't think he was going to fall like that, and I didn't believe we were going to touch the wide receiver position in the first 2 rounds, and I believed he was going to be gone. But thankfully, his injuries pushed him back. And let me tell you what, I said it earlier when talking to Peter. In my opinion, he is the heir apparent, the next man up as far as the wide receiver room. Now, can Trey Palmer be that guy? Absolutely. And that's a good problem to have for the Buccaneers and us fans. So as far as that goes, what do you say about Cade Otton?
I don't have really much to say on Cade Otton. I don't think he's worth running this week. Now, there's not much I could find on him.
Right. Now, he doesn't have a lot of history. Obviously, he hasn't played. I don't think he's played against Washington specifically.
Well, I was going to say, I was looking for him.
Well, he hasn't. He quietly had a really good year last year. And I believe because Godwin, White, Baker, Evans, and the rest of the Tampa Bay offense in that line, he kind of got lost in the mix, and a lot of people didn't notice how good he was compared to the year before. And he wasn't bad. He was just young and undeveloped. I will also say that the tight end room, I believe, is going to get better this year because I believe I did an article and we did a special on Payne Durham earlier in the preseason, and I believe Payne Durham's good, and we kept two more. We kept more tight ends than I thought. I thought we were going to be 3, and Devin Culp was going to be our 3rd tight end, but we did keep Keefe. Now, I believe Keefe is going to be more of your utility type tight end. You know, those goal line packages might come in and play fullback for us in the run game. But with Payne Durham, Kate Otten, and Devin Culp, I believe our tight end room has gotten a lot better because competition invests in success in one of those 3. Guarantee it. One of those 3 is going to have a good year because you got to expect the number 1 priority of the defense in the air game against the Buccaneers is going to be Mike Evans. Then you got Godwin. And then you got White. And then you got McMillan. So who are you going to leave out?
You know what, man? I don't think. Yeah, obviously Mike and Chris are probably your primaries. But I think at this point, the issue we have, not even the issue, but the good problem we have with having all these pass catching threats.
Yeah.
Is they're good.
Yeah. It's
and the young ones.
It's one of those things you're like with me, my parents, I'm 44, so I was born in 80, right? And in the mid to late 80s, in the early 90s, you saw the divorce rate go up. And my parents, fortunately for me, were a couple of parents that actually stuck through all the problems and made it to the, their 70s and their golden age, so to speak. So it was one of those things. It's the problem to have that you don't like talking about in front of other people because you feel like you're rubbing it in their face. And I believe our receiving core is just that. Every time we talk about him, people like the top 5 tandems, and wide receivers in the league, you never see the Buccaneers on that list. It's fucking hate because we are the best. We have the number 1 wide receiver duo in the league, bar none. Bank on that shit. Fire the fucking cannons and fire the hashtag cannon crew. I'm trying to tell you, quit sleeping on the fucking Buccaneers.
Well, I'm going to hashtag your Havoc crew for a minute.
Okay. Hashtag Havoc crew, people.
It would be good to have the Bucks on your roster in fantasy. Now, this week, I wouldn't. If you have to start them, just know there could be some issues because of the secondary. But you're going to get them about 6.5 points. And this defense looks to improve, man, because last year, under 350 yards average in a game that they were allowing, they were averaging about 19. They were allowing about 19 points a game on average, as
Right.
Peter was talking about earlier.
Right.
Man, this team was 2 sacks shy of 50.
Yeah.
You had 13 interceptions, 18 forced fumbles, and 13 fumble recoveries. NFL's fantasy football ranking has them 9th this year.
Yeah.
I
think that's a fair ranking.
And I got them on my fantasy roster this year.
I wanted them, but
I know.
year I really stuck to my guns because the theory is when you draft a defense and you draft a kicker, like in a 10-man team, typically a 10-man league, you typically want to wait for certain players for certain positions, like quarterback. Unless it's like a Patrick Mahomes or a Lamar Jackson, you're not touching. I'm not touching them in at least the 5th round. And if I'm smart, I'm probably going to hold off to the 6th or 7th round. And that's why I, fortunately for me, am very satisfied with a player like Baker Mayfield because he's going to get you that consistent amount of points, I believe, in the system he's in now. Even though he's not going to get you I got Patrick Mahomes starting in one league and I got Baker starting in another league. The reason I got Patrick Mahomes starting in this league instead of Baker is because I've got Baker as the backup and there's a 24-point differential, that I believe. And look, as far as I'm concerned, I love Baker and he's going to be the MVP in my opinion for the team. And he's going to vie for the MVP at the end of the year. But you can't go against Patrick Mahomes and,
So I'm going to say this shit right now. And I wish Sed was still here, and I kind of like where Peter was going at, but I'm going to say this.
Yeah.
I believe Baker Mayfield will be in the running for MVP this year.
Yep.
And I'm going to tell you this.
Okay.
Baker Mayfield is going to be my sleeper this week. He's one of those quarterbacks that I can't tell you whether to start him or sleep him, because I'm going to tell you right now, there's 3 things in life that are certain: death, taxes, and Baker Mayfield learning a new playbook.
Is it new to him, though?
Is it?
Semantically, it isn't.
But look for Baker to go off this week.
I hope he does.
It's gonna. It'll be hard to assume that he won't have that Baker Mayfield type game and kind of go south. But there's a reason to believe in Baker in Tampa.
No doubt. Well, before we get off,
year 2, bro, just wait.
Well, before we get off, what I want to do is, why did you sign out?
I didn't sign out.
No, I was thinking out loud. My app signed out of my fantasy.
Mine did too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so it wasn't my phone.
All right, well, go ahead and plug yourself for a second. I got to step out.
Okay, well, guys, you can always find me anywhere on social media. You can find, when I say anywhere, I mean anywhere as far as I'm at. I'm on Facebook here. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Snapchat. I'm on X/Twitter. And I'm also on Instagram. You can find me at the Plunder 2023. I have the Plunder EST 23 page. I have Derek Stevens, the business page. We also just started a group this week that's going to have exclusive content moving forward at the beginning of the season today. A lot of the content you see in there, you'll only see in the show. So if you're not watching my show and you're not in the group, you won't be able to gain access to this content. It's nothing charging, none of that. But it's just a level of appreciation that I'm going to show to the people that really take the time to go in depth to follow us here on the Plunder. And I really appreciate that. You can also find me every Friday night with BucDad, co-hosting his show, The Heel Turn, which is the inaugural show this Friday, tomorrow night, immediately following SmackDown, the very first episode of the rebranding of Pancakes and Power Bombs to Friday Night Heel Turn. And speak of Heel Turn, what a segue where this guy comes back on the visuals. Friday nights will never be the same, my man. Give us a little update on what we expect tomorrow.
Stay tuned.
Look, I know
I'm gonna tell
some
you
of the
right
stuff.
now.
Look, guys, I'm not even privy to some of this shit, man. Don't feel bad. Like, he's holding out completely, and I won't know until he sends the script and like, hey, this is what's going on. And we're going to be ready for it. So you make sure to tune in. If you're a WWE fan, and look, and we've broadened the spectrum in conversation a little bit. We might not label them as serious topics, but we talk about the other brands, AEW, TNA, and New Japan Wrestling and all those. So just keep that in mind. Don't ever forget. You can find BucDad at Real88. That's ReelEighty, the number 8. And like while you're away, I don't know if you're listening that I was talking, that starting next week, you will only find the parlay or planks information on the show live or in the Plunder's booty. And something else I want to bring out, guys, if you're watching the show, if you're listening, I hope BucDad shared the hashtags, but we came up with something. And if you can see my picture in the background up here, there's a hashtag up there, and it's hashtag Cannon Crew, hashtag CANNONKREWE. And the second word is captain. And that's because it was a thing I made for Baker Mayfield the other day. But the offense, every time they get in the red zone or they score, what happens? Boom, 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 boom. So every time the Bucs get the ball on offense, they get in the red zone or they score, we need all of the Buck Nation people, every crew member that follows the Plunder, to spam hashtag Cannon Crew. When the defense makes a great play, makes a fourth down stop, gets the ball on a turnover, gets an interception of any kind, makes a huge play and a pivotal play in the game. Hashtag Havoc Crew. Let's blow that shit up, guys. Let's make it. Let's let the Buccaneers know. Let's blow it up so big that the Buccaneers take a hold of this. That's what we want. We want to show them that this is how much we care about you. That we've labeled this like we got you guys. We're supporting you. So if you support me, hashtag Cannon Crew for the offense. Hashtag Havoc Crew for the defense.